On behalf of Women in Big Data, we welcome you all to Industry Series Session 2 on how data modeling and data management can benefit insurance processes. Let me quickly introduce you to our organization, Women in Big Data. It is a global volunteer-driven organization with a mission to cultivate tangible opportunities for women, unlock latent potential through accessible training, act as a catalyst for advancement with thought, leadership promotion, and empower equity allies of any gender with inclusive mentorship. WiBD India chapter acts as a platform with a specific focus to bridge the divide between industry and academia and to improve women's representation in data and its allied fields at the grassroots level across the country. Our global sponsors and partners include Intel, SAP, IBM, Microsoft, and many others. Let me introduce you to our India chapter leads. We have Dr. Ekta Mehul with us, who is Director and CEO, Orena Solutions Private Limited. She's a technopreneur and educationist. She has been awarded as the Women Entrepreneur of Gujarat and been invited by US for representing India in Women in Technology. We also have Soumya Moni ma'am, who is Director, Incture Technologies Private Limited. She's a data enthusiast and has received the most influential global marketing leader recognition from World Marketing Congress. Women in Big Data India Executive Council team includes Piyush Sharma, who is Executive in Residence at UCLA and Stanford Seed Consultant, Global CEO coach, and a C-suite plus startup advisor. We have Dr. Abhilasha Vyas, who is currently serving as Executive Council member for WiBD India chapter. She brings 19 years of technology, education, and training experience in information technology. We have Sridevi Murugayan, who has 17 plus years of IT experience and is a passionate developer and a problem solver. Dr. Bindu Narayan, who is a data sciences professional with 20 plus years of experience. Dr. Sudhindra Kaushik, who is Innovation Director at Volvo Group India and VP, IEEE Technology and Engineering Management Society. We have our own Dr. Jasdeep Kaur Dhanua, who is a professor in the Government Women Technical University of NCT of Delhi, Training and Placement Officer, experience of Head of the Department, PI of Government Projects. She brings 20 years of technology management experience from academia. Last but not the least, we have Meenakshi Arun, who has 18 plus years of experience in software development, education, and analytics. She is currently serving as the Director of Data and Analytics at Microsoft India.
Now I would like to talk about the 5 anchor programs under Women in Big Data India. They are namely Vidya, Saraswati, Shakti, Gayatri, and Lakshmi. Now talking about each pillar. So the Vidya pillar focuses on knowledge dissemination to bridge the divide between industry and academia. The Saraswati pillar focuses on curriculum design and development with leading practitioners from industry and academia. The Shakti pillar focuses on women looking to start or restart their career or education. The Gayatri pillar partners with industry associations and corporates for development and execution of programs in developing women leaders. The Lakshmi pillar conducts job fairs for employers to provide internship and full-time employment opportunities to women. Now talking about our India partners. So the WiBD India academia partners are our university, Indira Gandhi Delhi Technical University for Women, the Christ University, GSFC, and the industry partners include Infosys, Orena Solutions, ThoughtEdge, and many more. Now I'd like to introduce our speaker for the session today, Mr. Raghu Pavan. Raghu Pavan is currently the CIO at Canarys, an information technology company that offers consulting services and software solutions. He has more than 19 years of experience in IT strategy and enterprise resource planning. His work experience includes SAP consultant at IBM, Director of IT Solutions at Incture Technologies, and before becoming the CIO at Canarys, he was the global head of ERP solutions. Sir, I would like you to take the stage now.
Hey, thank you all for that introduction. It's always nice to be amongst all of you. I hope you're able to see my screen now.
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay, good. So firstly, thank you for having me, and it's indeed a good opportunity for to talk about the data space, especially in a focused industry like insurance, right? So sometimes it's important that we understand how that insurance as an industry plays a role, and it is also important that we understand what this data actually can bring to any specific industry, right? Okay, so with that note, let me quickly begin. I am considering this audience as new to the whole insurance industry. Okay, so probably I'll take a minute or two to let you know about how you have to pursue an insurance, right? So we start with that. I was actually very keenly listening to the programs that you had, Vidya, Lakshmi, Saraswati, right? So on that note, I remembered one classical example of how you should view insurance, right? I'm sure all of you know about Lord Krishna. When he was a kid, he was actually consuming butter from various houses, and it was a naughty act of young Krishna, right? And then we also know that all the parents actually ran to his mother's house, right? Yashoda. They went to her house with this claim that, no, he has consumed butter from our house. Now we want that back. Now this small snippet should actually give you a clarity of what insurance actually does. Here, Krishna's mother is the insurance. Okay. And the loss from each of these individuals or houses is the loss that they assumed, and they actually wanted to claim that loss through Yashoda. Okay, so one is the beneficiary, other one is actually the insurer. So in this case, insurer was the mother of Krishna. Okay, now this should actually give you a quick insight of what insurance is all about. On today's topic, especially, I did not want to call it data management, data modeling, two tough terms, right? So I thought, let me put it very simplistically and call this as data management, data magic in insurance industry. All right. While we talk about industry, before I even touch and get into the intricacies of how this industry works, quickly I want to tell you, I can just see a small pen here, right? So any product today in the world you actually buy, you actually possess, you have certain value associated to it, right? The product, you pick up anything. This is just picking up a pen here. I could range this pen right from, say, Reynolds to Montblanc and above. Why do I do that? Because I associate certain dimensions of value to this product. Now, what are the different dimensions of the value of the product? One, it could be a purpose or objective value. What is the objective of this pen? I need to use it to write, right? That's the objective. That's the purpose of it. That's called purposeful value or an objective value. You also have things like, this could be an emotional value, right? It could be something like, okay, it's my father's pen, it's my grandfather's pen, it is our family pen, it is something that somebody else has used, some more inspirational person of mine has actually used that pen, or somebody has gifted to me. So there is an emotional connect to the product that you buy. So any product you buy, you will also look at an emotional value of that. In many products, you will also see, especially the higher value items, there is something called as esteem value. By the sheer possession of an item or the object, there is something called as esteem value. So that is also another dimension of the of a product, right? And there is also time value. Time value, what do we mean by time value? Today I have bought this product for some X amount. Down the line, it could be multiples of X. So that's why today I possess the product, right? So there are different dimensions or different values of a product. Additional to all of these values, one important aspect is the financial component, monetary component attached to that value to that object. Now that object could be a deterioration object, for example, or a depreciation object. Example is like a car, right? So it continuously gets depreciated. But it could be also on an asset. There is a monetary value attached to an asset. Irrespective of how the monetary value is attached to a product, if you feel that if there is a damage to that product or an object happens, there is a huge financial loss that is incurred. Now, to overcome that, we have a facility called as insurance. Insurance now only talks about one specific dimension, which is the financial loss compensation. It does not talk about any other dimensions. Okay, so insurance today talks exclusively on compensating the financial loss of the product. Okay, so you can read the definitions, but you can also hear me as you read the definitions. Now, what does this actual insurance mean? I hope this point is clear and you're very clear on what an insurance is all about. And what does the insurance company do? Insurance company now represents as an agency that prepares this contract called as insurance between the owner of the product and between the organization itself as an insurance organization, right? So they help us in preparing this contract. In the event of unforeseen circumstances where this product is lost, then there is a financial compensation or protection that this organization or insurance company has. This is in a very simplistic way what insurance and insurance companies do. Okay, I hope that point is clear. Feel free to shoot out your questions in the comment box. If there are any, I can pick it up on the fly as well. Okay, so now coming to the different types of insurances, you would have heard of various insurances that have come: life insurance, accident insurance, health insurance, home insurance, auto insurance. N number of insurances are there. Broadly, they're classified into this segment. But today, insurance industry is matured so much that you can actually insure anything and everything. In the West, you would have seen people are actually insuring even the football players, right? For example, they insure their legs. I don't know how many of you are aware of it. They insure their legs. Like there's multi-million insurance on Ronaldo's, Messi's, Neymar's, their legs. Okay, if there is anything that happens to the foot, then there's a huge compensation that happens because that is a very prized possession, right? Their ability and their business works with their legs, right? So it's a football that I'm talking about. Okay, so now these are the common type of insurance. As I said, insurance is unlimited now because anything and everything can be insured. Okay, and the coverage of the insurance is also very customizable. A lot of it is already standardized, but if there is any customization possible, you can also see that is a possibility with various insurance companies. Okay, now when we attach any technology to an industry, usually there is a fast adoption of technology and any industry tries to catch up with the emerging changes that happen in the technology. And there is a quest of every industry leader to adopt technology to enhance their business. Now, what are the major trends in insurance industry? Is these three. Okay, so you see in the first, right? This is often in no order, but these are the top three industry trends that you have. Basically, today we are moving towards digitalization era. So any processes, any operations that can be automated either through AI, ML, or simple RPA bots is a huge area where the technology influences the regular business process, right? Customer engagement. There are various ways in which we engage the customer. Today, we don't need to consult any insurance agency or an agent for issuing any insurance to us. What we can simply do, go on any website, popular website, like for example, policybazaar.com, and you can quickly talk and interact with digital virtual agents and get a policy issued. Then you're protected instantly. Post this COVID, I'm sure there are a lot of people. I mean, I hope none of you would have gone through that, but talk to people to whom the insurance is actually benefited. You will know the importance of having every person covered in this world. Okay, so come in any new situation, insurance is like an strong fallback plan that is recommended to ensure that there is unforeseen events are taken care of. Okay, so customer engagement I mentioned. Last but not the least is one of the most important technology aspects that are coming into the industry, in insurance industry especially. This is digital data management, right? And you can see that this is based out of a lot of research, and in every industry leader in insurance is focused on these three areas. So digital data management, the data management, data modeling is an area of utmost importance in this industry. All right. So this is out of all research, and you will see that every industry is actually behind data modeling and data management, and how that actually influences their own bottom line and top line of their companies while they provide scaled service. Right. So you can see in short, the numbers are here. They speak by themselves. You could see that this industry where the technology is influencing, especially the big data technology is influencing, or the investments that are coming in from huge insurance companies, is in the tune of billions, right? Multi-billions industry this has become now. I'm talking specifically about data management in the insurance industry. Okay, so this is not the industry per se. This is especially the data management investments in the technology that is happening by the industry leaders of the insurance organizations. So you can see it is going in multi-billion dollars across the world, right? And one of the biggest reasons is, you can see here, one major hindrance or inhibitor in any industry is the way in which the fraud management is happening. One key reason why year on year the insurance premiums are rising higher and higher every year is because there is a continual fraud in the insurance claims that is happening. Now there is a continuous quest to also stop that, minimize the fraud that happens because of various people who want to probably do a false claim, right? So there is a loss of more than 80 billion USD. This is only in one country, which is in US. You can multiply by that by at least 5 or 6, and then you will see huge numbers of loss that happens because of fraudulent claims. Okay, needless to say, industry, what type of data that we are talking about? Huge data, multi zettabytes of data is what we are talking about. Big data is actually, I think, an understatement when we talk about insurance, because it is a very data centric industry. One of the most data centric industry, insurance is where it is, right? Currently, you can see some of the biggest players who are especially on the insurance analytics, data analytics side. So big names are there, right from Microsoft to say Oracle, Pegasystems. These are big organizations that are currently focusing on insurance analytics. Okay, today, if there is something called as virtual assets. I'll not get into that concept, but there is something called as virtual assets. Especially when any organization is getting evaluated, you would have heard of this term called valuation. One of the key pillars of this valuation is the way in which every organization manages the data. And in insurance, data is probably the most important virtual asset every industry leader is looking at. And it is important that we have very strong data modeling and data management technology implemented in these organizations. It's way haywire. While there's a very famous saying, devil is in the detail, I also add to that, darling is also in the detail. So if you're able to manage your data well, you can use it in a way that it actually represents a very insightful information for decision makers, for organizing your processes smoothly, and it also helps in keep maintaining the transparency across different agencies which are involved. Okay. So for this magic to happen with data, we will have to get into the details of it. Now, what are the different stages or components in data management are these, right? Broadly classified into sourcing, modeling, reporting. Now, what does sourcing mean? Simple. I mean, it's not a complex topic. We've all heard input, processing, and output. It is exactly like that. So sourcing, modeling, reporting. So the detailed components are, when we say sourcing, different data elements are there through which big data actually comes in. Data element. So if you see this next slide, you will realize what are the sources of big data: transactions, log data, events, email, social media, blah, blah, blah. Every activity of yours is actually a data source for a lot of organizations. And especially when you browse on the insurance sites and insurance related items, that becomes a data source. Apart from the data that you provide to the organizations for issuing you any policies or trying to make any claims as well, right? From it could be for background verification, your own PIDs, personal identification data. It could be about the product that you're doing, you're wanting for insurance, the market value of the product, is the fair price of insurance is happening. So all these various data sets are the sourcing agencies for the stage. Next is your modeling stage. In the modeling, so here mentioned something called as actuarial models, which means in modeling you can actually simulate using the real data. You can actually bring out a very clear model. It's not a, I would say it's not a pseudo model, it is an actuarial model. Today we want to see how our data looks like. So every organization wants to see what is their data looking like. Nobody today is interested because they are all sold out on the concept of data management. They want to see how their actual data looks like. So we use the real data of the organization and then model it. Okay. And then obviously the reporting happens. Now, when we say reporting, there are different needs of reporting. One, it could be for a decision making. Two, it could be for reporting what is happening in the organization, knowing and providing your governance to the operations of the organization. There are also regulatory requirements that are needed. So data management becomes very important. It could be local laws, it could be the state laws, it could be the country laws, it could be even the industry norms, where the data governance is very important. According to all these regulatory and compliance requirements, data reporting is also done, right? So it's not an, I would say it's not an option for many of the organizations, especially the insurance organizations, because they deal with very sensitive topics like health, their properties, a lot of things of that nature. So there is governmental regulations that keep coming on and off. So they also comply to various SOX. You have JSOX, you have US SOX, you have CSOX, which is Canadian SOX. So various companies have the SOX compliance requirement. So the reporting is not an obligatory function. It's a mandatory requirement. So this is an essential component of any data management model that you have. These numbers are here for you to have a look at it. You can see that there is a continual growth of the market size in analytics, right? Data analytics is growing hugely in the current era. Data analytics is something that is going to have a phenomenal growth. When we say data analytics, it does not just stop at reporting. It goes beyond that. You have data reporting, data analytics, you have predictive analytics, you also have prescriptive analytics, right? So it goes beyond, and that is the reason why you see the spike and a continual increase. Okay, my feeling and my research and assessment is that these numbers are going to be totally outbeaten as we emerge and as we get more and more use cases for data management across the industry. Okay. So big data in insurance industry, you can see there is huge possibilities and capabilities of big data that is needed here. One of the reasons why big data is so successful in current era is because of the computing speed that any hardware has brought in, right? So because the computing speed, the amounts of data that is provided in these by these sources, right? Be it transaction, log data, events, emails, you can see the social media, sensors, blah, blah, blah. Anything and everything you do, there it is a data source, right? That zettabytes, terabytes, zettabytes of data, if it has to be handled, the increasing computing speed, it's probably an unsung hero here, right? So the computing speed of the hardware is increased so much that it is actually providing benefits for every industry, especially we are talking about here insurance industry. Okay. Yeah. So now what is the one of the common questions that I keep getting, especially when we talk about data topics, right? So what is the role of big data in the industry, in this industry, right? One of it is, we already spoke about what type of effect it has got on internal process, customer retention, risk assessment, personalized service and pricing, customer acquisition, cost reductions, fraud prevention and detection, right? Now, if you see, at the heart of all this, there are two things. One, customer retention and customer acquisition. This is what any business will be looking at. So it is going to help us in customer retention. It also is going to help in customer acquisition by providing a lot of analytics. I would like to just give a quick, what do I say, how a customer acquisition, a quick snap about how customer acquisition happens. Today, I'm sure you all heard of Tesla. Tesla is actually trying to redefine the way insurance industry functions. They are coming up, probably they've already come as we speak about it. They have come up with an insurance model which determines or establishes, calculates the price of premium, price of coverage, duration of coverage based on the way that person drives the car. How interesting is that? There is a sensor that is in the car that provides information, that captures information about the driving habits of a person. Basis that, there is an insurance premium that gets actually generated, right? And there is change, right? This is where the data management is influencing every industry. Now, if that goes in a big way, trust me, all of it is going, every other insurance product is going to be redefined, because that data management and the way in which you decipher the data sources is going to start influencing insurance, right? So that is the power of how data is influencing the insurance industry. I hope my point was driven here. You should be able to get the importance of data here, especially in the insurance segment. Okay. And why is this industry so important? The numbers say by itself. You can see 46 players in the Fortune 500 organizations across the world are actually insurance companies. Okay. That's a big number. 11 out of 100 are insurance companies, which means 10% of your entire mammoth of all the industries are insurance related. So you can imagine anything and everything you do, 10% of that is associated with insurance, right? One of the key aspects is to establish trust in any insurance company. The longevity is very essential. So you'll see that this average age of insurance industry is something that it is leading in the segment. No other industry has survived or existed for this long. So average age of the group of the organizations in insurance is around 95 years. Now, that should also trigger a thought. Imagine the amount of data that any company, one single company, would actually possess. 95 years of data, millions of transactions every day, year on year, multiples, right? And product on product, so much of information and data is available, right? More than 2 million people employed, and the market cap is definitely greater than 1 trillion. Okay, some of the top 10 insurance companies of in US and their market cap. This is just to give you the impact of insurance segment, or I would say the footprint of the insurance segment across the world. Okay, and I've just picked the US here because they have the maximum cap. I mean, again, I'm happy to say that 3 of these top 10 insurance companies are our clients. So we do a lot of work for various insurance companies, and 3 of them are here as such, right? So we work with some of the top leading insurance organizations. All right. So this is again there for your lookout. These are the top 100 insurance companies which are there, and obviously India being such a demographically diverse country, we also have huge insurance organizations that are running. I'm sure these names are familiar, from LIC to IDBA to PNB, Aegon Life to India First, SBI Life. So many industries are there, and huge logos. All of these definitely need and are having data requirements. All right. At this stage, I hope you have got a view of how data is important in insurance segment, what the insurance industry is all about, how the data is actually influencing the working of the insurance segment, and how the data management is also redefining the way insurance industry operates. I hope I was able to give you a quick snap and overview of these aspects, right? At this junction, I would like to hand over to my friend Syed, who will take us through a small use case in the insurance segment.
Thank you so much, Raghu. I think that was very insightful.
Yeah.
I'll probably quickly go to the next slide. I'll give a bit of detail about what use case we're talking about today. So basically, like Raghu explained earlier, what an insurance is, and I'm sure each of us have some sort of insurance with us, be it on a 2-wheeler, 4-wheeler, or something on our health. So each one of us at least has one insurance on our names, and probably a couple of more within our families, right? So every time, I think when, say, your renewal is near, you get a message from your company saying, please renew your policy. So it has to be renewed. So you get a detail sometimes 90 days before, sometimes 30 days before, based on the company, based on the policy. So you get a notice from them. So that particular notice, as an SMS or a WhatsApp message or a letter that you get at home, that basically is a pre-renewal letter, which an insurance company sends, which basically is to tell the customer how your premium will change for this year. For example, if you are into health insurance, then your premium may go a little higher because you're aging as you go. For your vehicle, it could go lower because the vehicle is depreciating over the year. So based on the factors and type of the insurance, they'll inform you what the renewal is for the next year. And then based on that, again, you can go ahead and buy it from the same company, or you can go for another company and use that to buy the new insurance. So basically, a pre-renewal letter is something that is sent on every policy that you hold. Now, if we have to understand then how many such letters do you actually send alone, right? So it's basically as many policies that you sell, there are so many pre-renewal letters. So for example, what we have is in the year 2020, India, just the general insurance, we had about 249 million general insurance policies that were sold, right? So we can just see the sheer amount of insurance policies that are getting renewed at the same time, just in India alone. Now, if looking at something in US, say a couple of years ago, they had about 750 million general insurance policies. And the year 2020, with the health scare and everything, they have about 54% of the US population has health insurance policy. That is about 180 million people having health insurances now. So a year down the line from now, say 2021, they all need to get that letter. Now, who will process these 180 million letters? Right? It's not an easy task that we are looking at. So this is something that is driven by data, like the numbers and how best we can automate these things to get the best in the insurance industry, all based on the data that comes through for each policy holder. Raghu, if you can go to the next slide, please.
I think
Yeah, sorry,
screen perhaps froze, maybe.
No,
Oh, okay, it is.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. So what we have is for one of our insurance client where we implemented this pre-renewal letter automation, where basically it looks into the data, looks into the date when the policy renewal has to happen. It will pick up the policy which is coming up in the next 30 days and keep it in the queue. And every day when the day hits of 30 days remaining, it sends out a letter. It sends out an SMS, it sends out a letter. And if there is an email, it sends out an email based on the preference from the user. Right now, there's a flow chart that's on the top that kind of gives the exact flow of how do we check what date we get in. There are some policies which may need a human interference there to check if the renewal letter has to be sent or not, or some can go automatically. And again, at the end of the day, on the bottom two small boxes that you see on the top column is on the reporting of how many have been sent. Now, what does this result in again when we run this process? So this has helped our client reduce their headcount by 60%. So they had a team of I wouldn't say the exact number, but they had a team in double figures that were just doing the pre-renewal letters day in, day out. So their job was to look into the policies, calculate them, and send them through. So that has been reduced by 60%, and all of them has been repurposed into working on more automated and more human technologies. And also the processing time on each of these. So it was about 4 minutes earlier. If they have to check every parameter and send out the detail, it now takes about 70 seconds. So that way, the solution that we have right now kind of handles about 1,500 tasks every day. That is for one instance of one bot. So you just multiply it to number of bots, or you multiply the number of instances of the same bot, and you get the number. So that way, I think it's scalable, it is easy, and it is all driven by the data. So we have another diagram at the bottom. So that kind of gives a flow of how exactly the pre-renewal letter goes by, where you have the check from the bot that is on the left. It communicates with 3 of the systems. One of the system gives the detail of the policyholder, the personal data. The other one gives the detail of was there a claim done or any claim related details on the policy. And the third one has the policy details itself. So you take that, you compare, you run it through, and then you go on to the right where it checks on to sending an email, so calling it in person, you send a message to the person, and then you record that data. Because some policies, they send you 30 days, then they send you 7 days in advance. And some policies or policyholders, they renew it after the first renewal. So they have to be captured as they have done that, and you don't have to remind them again. So such details get captured and we run through. So all this, again, driven automatically using data that flows through from the policyholder to the company to the multiple other organizations that they are connected to. Right. So this is an example that we have done here for our insurance firm. So this is done on one of the tools, or one of the RPA tools that we have. It's kind of a detailed technical flow that runs through. Well, not something that we want to go in detail, but it gives a view of how many systems are connected to it. So the decision box that you see there, that is ideally what a human would do, is being done by the bot, basically driven by the data that it is receiving at each of the decision points. So if you see, there are about 10 decision points there. So everything driven by the data is easier done, and it is accurate, and there's very less human error as well onto that. So this is one of the examples. There are a few other examples that we have been going on in other areas, like there's auto renewal that happens where there are companies who opt for policies where they want it to be auto renewed at the end of each year. There is, once the renewal is done, post renewal letters are sent confirming that yes, you have purchased a policy. So the limit to there's no limit to the data that insurance companies have, because everything that they work on is all on the data, and nothing better than automated process to use that data effectively. So as another example is, I'm not sure if you have heard about aggregators, where like a policy bazaar that we see, right? So they're basically connecting to every system, pulling the data and showing us the data based on what we have. So things like that. I think the insurance industry is based out on data, and I think the opportunities within data, how to manipulate, how to use, are also endless. Raghu, back to you, please. Thank you so much, Raghu and team.
Okay, thanks, Syed, for that quick snapshot. So you could see that as simple as renewal of a policy could have this kind of massive impact if you are able to manage the data, because it gives you an opportunity to start identifying a use case for the automation. And in this case, we have used robotic process automation to actually automate a specific process, a very simplistic process of renewal systems, right? Now, as a conclusion, you could see, I hope these points were very clear to you. The adoption of big data today is actually increasing, and it is increasing by multiples, right? So we say 2x, 3x, 4x, it is actually multiplying to that level. So the possibilities of doing or having data management, modeling, and data representation processes strengthened in the organizations are quite essential. There is no second thought about it. Absolutely, there should be no doubt or in anybody's mind on how important data management is for these organizations. The reason is actually redefining the industry itself. Today, the big data, it is, I mean, it's probably an understatement when we say that big data has actually revolutionized the way insurance industry actually is going to change for good. So which means data, the way we look at and pursue, process the data in this industry is going to be here for good, right? So it will continue. The data management will continue to influence the way in which this industry operates. Okay, on that note, I would like to take a pause and yeah, just check if you have any questions. Obviously, I'll be sharing with you all of this. I also mentioned the sources where we got these numbers and some of the representations that are used in this presentation as well. There are good sources. Feel free, if you're keen on knowing more about it, you should go through all of that as well. Okay. All right. So with that, I will conclude and would like to hear if there are any questions, feelers from any of you.
Sir, I was quite interested in the session and I really enjoyed because this is one of the first sessions I'm attending regarding insurance processes, and I knew the basics of what insurance is, but it was really nice to have like a proper explanatory session. It was quite interesting and insightful. Now I would like to open the floor for questions. Anyone in the audience, if they want to ask any questions, they can. Until then, so actually I had a question. So if we would like to, like from a student, actually I'm a student right now, so I'm in my third year. So from a student perspective, how would we get into this field? Like what all would be required to do to get into this field, like of insurance?
Yeah, by now you would have realized I'm a very simplistic person. So the first thing I would want any person to know is the way they pursue the data itself is very important. They should not look at data like a bit of a data, right, or a byte of a data. Okay, it is important that you understand every data element is actually an asset value. So first, you'll have perception, change the way you look at the data. Second, you can learn about various big data tools that are available today in the market, right? From Hadoop, I don't endorse any much tools, but you can pick up any of the leading market tools, understand how they work, and if you're able to practice some of the use cases that you would probably get, I think that should do wonders. Okay. So have a view of how you want to work with data.
Thank you very much for that, sir. I have noted all of these points down.
Good.
I would also like the audience to fill in this feedback form regarding the session that just happened. And while we wait for the audience to ask their questions, if there are any, I would request all members of the audience who are comfortable to switch on their cameras so we could just take a picture of the session.
I think I'm the first one to switch on the camera. So I do have a question, Syed. Nice to see you. Lovely to see you. And thank you for participating in the session today. I'm sure the students benefited. Largely, they are students and our WiBD academia partners. And Dr. Jasdeep's university is anchoring this session today. Dr. Jasdeep is also there. Hello, Dr. Jasdeep.
Hello, very good evening to everyone. And happy
evening,
Guru
ma'am.
Purab also. I was keeping a little
Yes,
busy.
happy
So
Good Purab to you too as well.
yeah, to
Everybody,
everyone. Yes.
everybody,
Yeah.
yes. So Dr. Jasdeep, I'd like to first ask you how the session went and what was the feedback, and some feedback from the students as well, other than Anubhuti and Kushbu. Anyone else wants to give any feedback to Raghu and Syed?
I think this was a wonderful session, and a good insight given into the opportunities.
I think we lost you, Dr. Jasdeep, for a minute. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible now. Yes.
So it was like the way I said, Anubhuti was very right in asking, the students will be interested to know how can they actually, get into this area. And I think to start with could be the internships opportunities where the students will have to know more insight about how the things can work. The way, Raghu said, each and everything in the data collection that is there, is an important thing. So I think with that, students would be interested to have more insight into it, practically practice it. And of course, I think there is a huge opportunity and huge market about, this insurance sector. So it was, I was actually taken aback the way, Raghu said that the legs are also insurance, and that was good. So anything can have insurance connected to it. So,
right. So
that's good.
I think we all connect to Adnan Sami. So I'm not sure if people know Adnan Sami's fingers are insured for $10 million because he's a very good piano player.
Yeah.
So he's insured his fingers for 10 million. So something happens to his hands, he gets a cool 10 million. Of course, sorry for his hands though, but
so that was quite interesting, thing to know. So I think it was most of the students from IGDTUW, I think they are from engineering background. Although I asked some management students also to join, but it was interesting for us as engineering background to see, the whole lot of market that is there in insurance. So that was exciting, and Anubhuti was right in asking. Thank you so much, Raghu, for giving this. Over to you, Soumya.
Yeah, good. I mean, I think one of the things which I think Raghu and Syed, I think probably on behalf of the students, I would like to ask, if they have to get into automation, we talked about bot creation, right? So I think is automation, I think this is leading to what Anubhuti was asking. And many students asked me this question. Should they get into automation? Should that be the first step to any data practice? Should they actually become an automation engineer? Should they become a data scientist? Should they become a data analyst? Should they become a business analyst? There are so many positions in data today. They're all confused in where to begin with. So from an insurance standpoint, where do you think people should begin their journey? Should they start with data analysis or should they start with automation? Where should they start their journey? I'm asking on behalf of the students. I'm not restarting my career. Okay.
We constantly keep relearning and unlearning ourselves. So I think that's a good question. Thanks, Soumya, for that. See, the quick answer to that is you can start from any of these, right? So if you want to be a PA, business analyst, there's a different path. If you want to be a data scientist, there's a different path. If you want to do an automation or a data automation engineer, if you want to be that, then there's a different path. These are different paths. Cutting across all of this, there is no career path for that, okay? Because it is a huge amount of work that one person can actually consume, okay? You would probably be spreading very thin across if you're trying to do all of it, okay? So now if you want to start as a business analyst, it is important that you get deeper into understanding the processes, okay? It is important that you understand the business and about the industry, about the process, and your ability to break that process into the multiple units is what is the most important trait. So when we are trying to look for a business analyst, we look at that person's ability to fragmentize a given process. That's it. Okay, so that is one important trait that you will need. Okay, now data scientist, he or she should be very capable of understanding data elements itself, and second, they should be good to work with numbers, and they should also have ability to organize themselves well. Okay, so in terms, we deal only with unstructured data. Okay, so we don't deal with what do I say, unorganized data structure at all. So it's always an unstructured data. Data is chunked, and then we need to curate the data. That's an important trait for a data scientist. Okay, now how do they learn? There are enough and more data management courses. PGs are there. There are diploma courses. There are vocational courses that are happening. Any of these courses could be a good start.
Okay. I think on the data, the easiest way to start on data is, I'm sure all of you are using a lot of Excel. You put a lot of charts, right? So see how you can visualize the data differently. So why do you have a bar chart? Why do you have a pie chart? What represents the data better? So that way you start thinking, how do I represent data better, and how can I use the data better? It's the simplest way of what we do day in, day out on using an Excel. And then you start thinking of, if the data is looked at it in a certain way, maybe I can use it in a better way as well, for something else. So a simple thing is, see how else you can represent the same data. Like Raghu said, have a different perspective at how you look at data. So the best way to do it is maybe just try representing it differently. You will get some ideas of how else I can use it.
Okay. Thank you, Raghu. And I see a lot of great feedback come on the chat window. I think students have found it extremely insightful. And I'm also seeing that there's a feedback form. So please do fill this out, and we will send out that feedback to Raghu and Syed as well. Over to you, Anubhuti.
Yeah, yes, maybe a minute. Just a tip for anybody who's buying an insurance, something that I always give, because I was an analyst before. So use the industry for your own benefit. So this is something for you, all of you, right? So whenever you buy a vehicle, for an example, or you take an insurance of a vehicle, there is something called as a voluntary deductible. That is a check that you can do if you can check on that thing. So what that basically does is, so you select a voluntary deductible of say 2,500 rupees. Your premium reduces by that amount. And if something happens to your vehicle, I pay that much amount and then I claim insurance. It's what it says. So if your vehicle is going to have an accident, you're going to spend at least more than 2,500 from your pocket, irrespective of what happens. But that reduces your premium. So you save a couple of $1,000 just by using that voluntary deductible. So
my car is up for insurance renewal next month, so I'll keep this in mind.
I saved a couple of $1,000 there.
Thank you.
That's the monetary benefit.
This is like the bonus tip.
Yeah, bonus tip. Thank you. Dr. All the people, I'm sure they're all on learners, or maybe they've all already got license. So maybe they should keep this tip in mind, right? All the
yes. Every time you buy insurance, you can save $2,000. So party with it.
Awesome. Awesome. Any other questions or comments before we take a snap with the audience as well as our presenters, please? And we will publish this in our website as well as all our digital channels. So thank you for a wonderful session, Raghu and Syed. It's really nice to connect with ex-colleagues and, in another forum. So I'm so happy that you obliged, and you both have a tremendous amount of energy and knowledge combined. So thank you. And students, if you have any questions and you want to reach out, we'll facilitate those discussions both for internships as well as, any other questions you have in getting into this industry. Okay, post this session. We'll route it to Raghu and Syed separately. Thank you.
There's never a no when we deal with Soumya. Okay, so there's no way we could probably say no.
Anubhuti, would you like to do the honors, please, for the
Yes, ma'am. I've taken multiple pictures as
you
when
already-
people have people switch on their cameras for a second and I take a picture.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Jasdeep. Thank you, Dr. Rujul and Terrace and everybody from Christ University who joined us today and from Gujarat University as well. Thank you so much for joining today. Thank you. Wish you all a very nice day.
Thank you.
so much.
Before we
Thank you,
sign off,
everyone.
Soumya, one last thing.
Yes.
So I'll reach out to you on the internship possibilities at Canarys. So if there are any interest to work in this field, in this industry, not just the insurance industry, we work across a lot of industries,
Sure.
but in this stream, if you would want, I think I'll share the information and our requirements to Soumya. Please do reach out to her. So it would be a pleasure to have you spend some time with us. We'll learn together.
Thank you. Thank you, Raghu.
Thank you
so
for
much.
the opportunity, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Raghu sir. Thank you, Syed sir. And I'd like to thank all the participants for joining. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye-bye.